What is up, my friends? Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to just kind of off the cuff talk about this, all an opinion piece, all speculation piece, talk about what I'm feeling is going on in the macro, right? We're going to talk about the macro in crypto. We're going to talk about the macro and kind of the global landscape of economies and what I think is coming. I've been hinting at this with a lot of the recent videos. I did the video, all the videos on the IMF. We decoded the 1988 Economist article. I made the video about Ripple and the role that I think that's going to play. You know, my background with this channel anyways is cryptocurrency, and that's what this channel started as. But then I kind of got bored with that and got really interested in the macro and started really just paying attention to that at a big scale. So let's see how I can do here, piecing all this stuff together, because I feel like now is a very important time to talk about this and have you guys hear this. I think something big is going to happen in Q2 of this year. I just made this big long post. Actually, let's take a step back. What you're going to see on the screen is this is my private Discord for the Empire community. We talk about crypto, but we also talk about the macro economy. And what I put here is that I personally wondering how this is all going to play out, but feel that something big is going to happen in Q2 of this year. And what I feel big is going to happen is something big shift in how the money system and how the monetary system works. And I'm not the only one who feels like this. There's many people who think it might happen as soon as next month. And there are many people who think that there's going to be one of two outcomes, that they do some sort of bail-in, which is a switcheroo with a e-money and dual currency system, or they just let the whole thing burn down, fractional reserve banking finally fails, and it's sheer utter chaos in the streets. Now, we're going to set the context here and talk about how they've been kind of shoring this up. Like, all of this is leading somewhere, all the macro, and it's so hard to see the macro because they've got everybody so busy down in the streets throwing mud at each other. They've gotten us so good at reacting to the president, to the Democratic Party, to the Republican Party, to the whites, blacks, women, guys, trans, straight, gay. Everybody is up and at war with everybody. So very few people are looking at the macro because everyone else is so busy down in the mud fighting with each other. And that's what they want. Like, I will say that if there is some sort of almighty power or collective or they or Illuminati or whatever you want to call it, is what they would want is chaos. They would want us separated. But when you look past all that, you forgive yourself, forgive your neighbor, love yourself, and this sounds all cheesy, right? It just sounds like a fairy tale. But when you lead with more heart-based intentions, you tend to have a happier life, which at the end of the day, I think everyone's here trying to find happiness. So set aside that for a second. Let's get back into the macro. Let's talk about this setup. Then I want to dive into crypto a little bit because there's been some phenomenal things happening, some amazing ROI opportunities that I want to tell you about. And then we're going to talk about what I feel is going to happen in Q2. We got the setup happening since, from what I started paying attention to and back researched, I took from about the year 2017. The setup is this division you see. The setup is the war on free speech, the war on gender and religion, and the separation and division that they're creating within the people. And that is all perfectly coming to a head, it seems like, right now. So right now, what we have in like this last little piece of the cycle is we have the Ilhan Omar situation, the congresswoman who made not even an anti-Semitic comment, which then got spun into this whole anti-Semitic conversation. That paired up with some college campus situations has led President Trump to pass a anti-Semitic freedom of speech bill for college students. Okay, he vowed to go to war for this. He asked on personal television for Ilhan Omar to resign and step down because her actions were despicable, when all she said was it's all about the Benjamins, baby, talking about AIPAC and their role in Israeli lobbying in the United States government, which you'd have to be an idiot not to see this. It's very obvious. It's all right in front of your face. We have the U.S. State Department reclassifying and redefining what anti-Semitism is, which is very scary as well, because it basically encompasses everything, any possible question around Jewish people or Israel as a country. And I think you get into trouble when you've eliminated just the ability and the right to be able to talk about things. We should be able to talk about all things, right? And state our opinions, because at the end of the day, there's 7.5 billion people and we all have different opinions and beliefs about stuff. That's what I think makes us so rich, makes this life so amazing and unique, is that we are all, in fact, unique. We see this teeing up of censorship happening in perfect stride. It's not just America with these bills that Trump is trying to pass. We see Macron last week meeting with with Mark Zuckerberg, the head of Facebook. Why would he be meeting with Mark Zuckerberg when he's in the midst of a 17-week-long yellow vest movement where they're literally just saying, hey, we're sick of the government. We're sick of your bullshit. We don't think it's real, and we're done with it. That's what the yellow vest movement was all about. So that's hitting ahead. Well, we can only assume what he was meeting with Mark Zuckerberg about up until the actions were taken. Now the actions that were taken after the meeting is that they are attempting to outlaw criticism against the government and criticism against him. We have the royal family in London coming out and saying that they want to make it punishable by law to criticize them online, on the internet. And this I just find completely obnoxious because Canada's following suit. So many countries are following suit, which are basically saying, yeah, forget freedom of speech. If you make fun of the government on the internet, we're going to find you and hold you accountable. If that was true with this whole accountability game, then where's the accountability on everything they say, on everything they do, from the Congress people to Democrats, Republicans to Senate, oh my gosh, all the way down to the local police department. Where's the accountability on them then? If we're going to be held to the highest standard of the law, you know, to the highest letter, I'm all for that as long as it's an equal playing field. As long as they and the people making the rules are also held to that, then it's on. Like, let's really just become better people, and we're going to hold each other accountable in a, I guess, in a healthy way. I'm all for that. But I'm not seeing that happening. I'm seeing like this schoolyard bullying occurring, and then it's like they can dish it out, but they can't take it. And the minute that you raise any question, which is what makes all this Israel shit so weird to me, is that as soon as you raise question or you make any hint of anything, it's like you are prosecuted as like the worst person on the planet. And they activate the mob, whether that starts off as this bot army and then turns into real people, or maybe it is real people. I don't know. I don't care. But then it's like the mob takes over, and then you just have this insanity loop that doesn't stop until like somebody is just literally pushed out of whatever position that they hold. So that is hitting its crescendo. So that's the setup, right? We are at this setup and this crossroads. YouTube recently talking about how they're going to start to crack down on conspiracy, what it considers conspiracy theory content, who creates those rules, SPLC, Southern Law Poverty Center, and what's the other one there? ADL. Those both happen to be Israeli-based companies, and they're the ones that are in charge of all the hate speech and anti-Semitism, right? Which that word in and of itself, let's be honest, is on an uptick. It's like you really didn't hear anything about that, and all of a sudden, like the last like 4 months, everything is all of a sudden anti-Semite. Am I the only one noticing this? We have this perfect culmination, this perfect storm happening. Freedom of speech is about to get clamped down. A lot of YouTube channels are about to get just removed from the internet, removed from payment processing, removed from everything, because we've already seen that happen in the last 6 months. It was all just the setup for this, right? Now let's come over, put that on pause for a second. Now let's come over to cryptocurrency, and then we're going to tie it all together with what I think is actually happening and what the move is, what the play is. With cryptocurrency, all the speculators are gone. There's whales left. There's some institutional money, big institutional money that's been coming in. There's all this huge fundamental things happening with Bakkt, with Fidelity, with more institutions, Social Security funds coming in and allocating into cryptocurrencies. There's just probably a 20-minute video to be made about the last 60 days of just what's happened with the macro and cryptocurrency. I might shoot that actually, and just show headlines of what's happened over the last 30, 60 days. From a market cycle, the Wall Street cheat sheet, market cycle standpoint, I feel like we're still not at capitulation yet. I feel like there's still not enough blood in the streets. I feel like the minute that all you're reading about in the crypto market is about class action lawsuits against ICOs, failed ICOs from 2018, I feel like part of me feels like that's when it would be like, okay, now it's hit the bottom. Now we've bottomed out. It might not get that bad though. Right now, like there's just this piece published today by Zero Hedge, which essentially says, look, all the speculators are gone, pessimists are running the show. And part of me agrees with that as well. I do think that there's like this small demographic of people, myself included actually, who lost a ton of money through 2017 and 18, which my losses are about 220,000-ish, give or take. We were able to dust ourselves off, not get stomped out, stay in the market by however means possible, and we're still in the trenches fighting. Like, we still want our peace. And that's true for me. Like, I don't know if this is your first time to the channel or you've been following us along for a long time, but guys, fuck, I want my peace and I'm gonna get it. And the things that I've been working on over the last like 6 months is really just behind the scenes been shoring up my positions in different coins, different cryptocurrency coins, some stuff some traditional stock market picks as well. But yeah, that's what I've been mostly focused on while we're also doing some things with the community. So recently there's been some interesting developments, which it's kind of like, if you're brand new to this is going to be huge intel for you, or you've stepped away from cryptocurrency and you're looking to come back into the game. Is it time to come back into game? That sort of thing. I think it is time to come and at least start watching daily and closely, back like when you were in the game, and maybe you're invested in this back in maybe November, December 2017, before the bottom kind of fell out. I think it's worth looking and keeping a pulse on crypto daily now, because what we've seen is Binance was a big player in 2018, but with this new launch pad, which is essentially an ICO launch pad, they've really taken over the space. And it wasn't crystal clear when BTT, BitTorrent, launched theirs through Binance. It became evidently clear to everybody when Fetch just launched, which Fetch was done, I think, back on the 5th. Maybe sooner than that. Maybe it was just around the beginning of this month. And what we saw all these mid-cap, all these large-cap coins bleed out as everybody moved over, well, what seemed like everybody moved over their funds to Binance Coin, BNB, to be able to buy Fetch when the ICO went live. And the stats were retarded. There's over 2,000 people that tried to buy in the first 20 seconds, with tens of thousands of orders, additional orders that tried to go through. It sold out in 20 seconds, and then the price went from 8 cents in the ICO to when it got listed, I think 48 hours later, it ran all the way up and I think peaked at 45 cents. Now it's floating back around 33 cents. So what that just showed everybody who is paying attention and still in the market is, one, BNB has been shooting up through the ranks in the top 10. If you just go to coinmarketcap.com, you see it's number 7 today. It was number 8, it was number 9, it was out of the top 10. It's moving up quickly. So here's the prediction here, is that Launchpad is going to continue to dominate for at least one fiscal quarter. And my assumption is they did an AMA. CZ, which is runs the founder of Binance, whatever he wants to call himself these days, he did an AMA the other day, and he said they're going to shoot for 2 a month. So you can assume twice a month, people are going to need to be buying BNB, and they're thinking that this pump and dump train is going to keep going, because this is a glorified pump and dump, let's be honest, okay? And there's some money to be made. There's a ton of money to be made. Depending on your internet speed and your proximity to the data center, that's going to base how quick you're able to get your trades executed. That will always matter in these things, right? So BNB is going to be in demand for a while. Don't think like the next one, which the next one is scheduled up for the 19th of this month. So if you wanted to go ahead and get some intel, start researching and get yourself positioned, you could. Right now, as I'm shooting this video, BNB is still going up. So it peaked at $15 earlier, and it's back basically trending side to side right now. Okay, so it's just running laterally. Peaked at about $15 and some change earlier today. We can assume that's going to keep going up because the next one's on the 19th. It's supposed to be another big one. I think it's Celsius, something like that. I'll flash it on the screen now. Yep, there you go. This is going to continue. Think 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th down the line. In a bear market, people will go where the money is to be made. So everyone's just now essentially huddled around Binance, just waiting. We've seen some huge whale purchases as well over the last 24 to 48 hours in BNB. We're talking hundreds of thousands of BNB being purchased at these rates. So if people are coming in, whales are coming in, they assume that they're going to be able to make some sort of ROI off of this, buying in at almost all-time highs, okay? Thinking 5th, 6th, 7th down the line, people are going to have to keep coming in and buying BNB because it's the only way that you're able to buy in on these ICOs. Then that's going to wear itself out and everyone's going to throw up their hands and say, this is a joke. You can't get into these things. It's not even worth trying, but they'll still want or need to get BNB. And that's going to kind of lose its sizzle, but the Binance platform will keep going, and all they really need to do to sustain this is just run some good contests like they usually do. They run $1 million contests, get a Lambo, whatever kind of contest they're running, and that will keep trade volume up. They do a phenomenal job at keeping high trade volume, which is why they've emerged as a top cryptocurrency exchange. Okay, so anyways, there's also tons of opportunity with what are considered mid-cap. Now, this isn't a huge market cap coin or a huge circulating supply coin. This falls, I guess, in the middle, okay, hence the name mid-cap. I think there's a ton of opportunities there. Like we have Engine, which is going to be supported on the Samsung S10, which is literally literally launching, I think right now, it's trending on Twitter, the hashtag for the S10. Engine has got integration into there, so is Cosmos. Cosmos isn't pumping right now, but Engine apparently is. I'm seeing 3 green candles here on the 1 hour chart. It's at 13 cents. I started buying in at 5 cents. It was 7 cents just the other day, so it's now effectively doubled in price. I could sell right now and I would have doubled my money, but why would I? We're seeing literally green candles, just printed green solid candles. So you might want to take a look at that. There's a lot of these opportunities that are still in the cryptocurrency market right now when everybody's run away. Everybody thinks that there's nothing left and it's all dead. And that's leading me to what's gonna happen. So we've got this buildup of what appears to be censorship rolling out on the internet. They're just gonna scrub the internet of stuff that maybe they don't like. Maybe it questions authority too much, questions the government too much. I don't know where they're gonna take that. I don't really care. Well, I care, but I'll leave my opinion to myself, I guess is a better way to put that. Where are they going with this? I see one of two things happening. They're gonna do some sort of bail-in. I talked about this in a couple of the last videos, where they do a dual currency system. I think the best bet for the e-money in the dual currency structure is going to be XRP Ripple. And a lot of people didn't really like my price predictions for that. I'll explain that in a dedicated video, which I've been kind of hesitant to shoot, but I will be shooting and uploading very soon. My point with that, to be short, was that I don't think it's going to lead to the purchasing power people think it will. That was my point. I just said it really badly. I don't know why. Anyway, I think Ripple has the best chance of being this e-money, but not with the current market cap that it has, because even at $1, Ripple would only be a $41 billion market cap. Visa, MasterCard at $331 billion. You know, Western Union, MoneyGram, this is hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap right now that, you know, XRP could never support that. So the price is gonna have to come up. Yes, 100%. So they're gonna do this bail-in, which the reason why they would do that is because most people won't realize that they just got 10 or 20% of their money stolen. So there won't be any big ripple effect and the market cycle will continue. So this whole Wall Street market cycle will be almost unaffected. And I think we'd, for the most part, continue on in a bearish market cycle for crypto. They'd continue manipulating gold and silver the way that they are. And the S&P 500 would keep struggling the way that it is right now, 10 days low, right? The second thing, or the second way I see this all rolling out, is that they have no control over this. And I say they is like this ruling elite, for lack of better terms. Turns out they have no control over this, and they're just going to let the wheels fall off. We're 10 years plus after the bailout, and it's now compounded the problem. They can't fix it. They can't make a way out of it. So they're just going to let the whole thing fall apart and collapse. What would happen then is cryptocurrency would go through the fucking roof, every single one of them. Because what would start to happen is, let's say everyone tried to buy Bitcoin and then transact on Bitcoin, it would bog the network down. They'd move down to the number 2 coin, then number 3, number 4, number 5. So you could expect a reasonable mooning on like the top 20, top 50 coins, especially if it hit worldwide and global catastrophe struck. That's my assumption anyways. And everyone would be hoarding cash. Gold and silver would also have huge plays. Would that outweigh the manipulation that's gone on day in and day out? I don't know. I don't know if that would tip the supply and demand curve so much so that those would then spike and it would be out of their control at that point. I'm not sure. I don't see number 2 happening. I actually think the reason why the government shutdown occurred is because they told the president that they need time to work out this new monetary system, and that there was all kinds of meetings that were going on behind the scenes. We actually know a little bit of this to be true because on Christmas Day, the president was having meetings with the head of the Fed. There was late night meetings going on during that whole time that the shutdown was going on, which has never ever happened except when we had the global meltdown before in 2007, 2008. All of it started in 2006. So I just say 2006 to 2009 is when the whole disaster period really was apparent and executed, okay, and happened. I don't believe in coincidence anymore with this stuff, with these macro markets. They just play out too perfectly to believe in coincidence, and that might make me a bit of a pessimist, but I definitely think that all this is happening to the T or pretty close to it of what they're trying to do, and I definitely think that there is a speeding up of whatever this is that they're trying to roll out. They are definitely speeding things up and doubling down and pushing out so many things per day that it's almost impossible to keep up with, because by the time the last mainstream media dumped the last pile of shit down your throat. They can't even keep up with the next one, and there's all this stuff happening in the background that nobody's even knowing is going on. I think we can all agree that things are moving faster now, and that something is going on. How are these markets still being propped up? You're watching the YouTube videos. You're not just watching mine. You're watching other smart people that are keeping an eye on this, that for the most part are not falling for their bias or their beliefs, and they're able to lay this information out, this macro info, in a way that you're probably keeping up on pretty well. I'm going to make that assumption about my viewers and my listeners, okay? We can all agree that something's going on, something big is going to change. Now, I think there's tons of opportunity in that. There's tons of opportunity in the last economic meltdown, and there was, you know, a movie called The Great Short that was made about it, or The Big Short that was made about it, with Christian Bale. Brad Pitt had a little piece in that. Watch it if you haven't seen it. It's pretty telling depiction of what things were like back then, and just how willing people were to drink this imaginary Kool-Aid of the market just being fine. And those that were able to delineate between that and actually see what was going on were able to come out and profit very, very nicely, but also too some quite disgusted at the end of the day and walked away completely from the money markets. I think there's a ton of opportunity to be made. I think right now, with everything I just said, it would be very easy to be triggered. It would be very easy to fall for it and get all wrapped up and bent out of shape about arguing over details. This is correct, that's wrong, and taking the eye off the prize. The prize, and where your eye should be focused, is how are you going to set yourself up? What are you going to get involved in? I think there's going to be plays right and left. I think now would be an awful time to be, you know, committing to a mortgage, buying a house, getting involved in any sort of long-term payment plan, getting new cars, because you want to wait until after, when there's blood in the streets in all the markets and things are at all-time lows. Or if they roll out this dual currency system and they get into negative interest rates, then not really much has changed, and they're still stealing a large portion of your money. Well, not a large portion, but a portion of your money, let's be fair. And we don't really know what that's going to be yet, so I can't be like that. So anyways, I think this is the time to be paying attention to crypto. This is also the time to be paying attention to just the macro cycle that's going on, to be paying attention to these little niche things that seem like they don't actually matter and make a difference, like censorship and freedom of speech, because all those are playing a role in this much bigger thing that is rolling out in front of our very eyes right now. And it's important to understand this and be putting it into action in your own life, not just listening to this information, getting triggered, getting mad, going to social media and complaining about it, but actually making a plan for you and your family, because there is going to be plenty of opportunities for you to take while it's happening, after it's done, and there's going to be different phases of this cycle, much like what we saw in the 2006 to 2009 area. And if you have no clue what I'm talking about, then just go back and research. Just by going back through news articles and headlines and watching what all the YouTubers were talking about back then, or whatever big you know, networks were around back then. When did YouTube actually come out? I don't know. It might not have even been out back then. Watching all these things and seeing exactly what was going on, that will better prepare you to see what's going to happen this time around, right? Because usually they're similar, but with compounding problem now that we did a bailout versus letting everything fall apart. If fractional reserve banking would have fallen apart back then we would be in a completely different economic scope and I guess you could say trend right now. Right? So anyways, I hope this makes sense. I hope you found it valuable. If you do, it's so simple to support this channel. Just click the thumbs up button. If you didn't like it, click the thumbs down button. It's all good. If you got something to say, I'd love to hear. Go ahead and comment below. If this is your first time to the channel and you like what we're doing here, you dig us, go ahead and click the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so that you don't miss out on any future updates. And if you want to support us financially to keep the train rolling, you know, $1 does go a long way every single month. Pledging to our Patreon or any of the other, supporting us by purchasing through any of the other links below. Those few dollars go such a long way, my friends, and we're all going to keep moving on, keep trucking, and be on the lookout, because I'll be dropping more videos very soon, taking deeper dives into elements of what I just talked about. I know it's a lot to chew on, it's a lot to swallow, but don't take my word for it. Go start researching this stuff yourself, trying to piece these breadcrumbs together, and also be on the lookout, because I'll be dropping more videos soon talking about this stuff. All right, my friends, bye.